15 Pro Max is here. It's the best we have from Apple. How does it compare to the best from Samsung, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra? Well, let's put these head to head super SAF style and find out. So we're going to start off with the build and the design. I think both of these are very premium and good looking devices, but the iPhone 15 Pro Max now has a grade 5 titanium frame. This is the same titanium that's used on the Mars rover, and that is more premium compared to the aluminium frame that we have on the S23 Ultra. And thanks to that titanium frame, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is now lighter compared to the S23 Ultra. The iPhone 14 Pro Max was actually a little bit heavier. Now, the S23 Ultra does have curved edges as well as curved glass at the front of the device. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is flat, although there is just a slight curve on the edges of the screen. So it will be easier to get a screen protector on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But the S23 Ultra does have quite a boxy design, so the edges can dig into your hands. The iPhone 15 Pro Max has these curved edges, and with the contoured edges that we have this year, overall I would say that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is the more comfortable device to hold considering how big these devices are. Now, I do like the matte finish that we have on the back of both devices. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is available in 4 colors: black, white, blue, as well as this natural titanium. But all of these colors are quite muted. With the S23 Ultra, we've got a phantom black, a cream, a green, and a lavender. And we do have some exclusive colors available from Samsung.com: graphite, sky blue, lime, as well as a red. So the S23 Ultra with lots more variety. But of course, if you're going to be putting these in a case anyway, I'm sure it's not going to even matter. Right now, both devices do have an IP68 water and dust resistant rating. However, if you do look at the fine print, the iPhone 15 Pro Max can be submerged into water deeper compared to the S23 Ultra. Now, I'm not sure how much that's going to matter to most people. I'm not somebody who takes my device swimming, so it's not going to matter to me. It might matter to you. For the front glass, we've got ceramic shield on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The S23 Ultra has Gorilla Glass Victus 2. Now, I am not somebody who does drop tests. I'm sure there's going to be lots of drop tests out there. In my experience, both of these are very durable. Now, let's move on to the displays. I want to say straight up that both of these have some of the best smartphone displays in the market. We've got OLED technology, so colors really do pop, and we have adaptive refresh rates, so they can go all the way up to 120 Hz and all the way down to 1 Hz, which makes these great for the always-on displays. And yeah, since the iPhone 14 Pros, we do have an always-on display on the iPhones, and it has been updated, so we don't have to have a faded background. It can be completely black, which I do like now. Now, the S23 Ultra does have a slightly larger display. I'd say with the bezels, the iPhone 15 Pro Max now does have slightly smaller bezels compared to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. But if we do compare these side by side, there is really not much in it. The iPhone 15 Pro Max does have uniform bezels. The S23 Ultra does have slightly smaller bezels on the left and the right compared to the top and bottom, if that matters to you. Now, the S23 Ultra is a tad sharper compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Nothing that you're really going to notice, but the iPhone 15 Pro Max does get brighter outdoors. So it's impossible to pick a winner between these two. I think both of these have absolutely excellent displays. Now, one thing we do need to talk about is the punch-out versus the dynamic island. Now, of course, the punch-out on the S23 Ultra is less intrusive when you are watching things full screen, and it does give you a slightly higher screen-to-body ratio. But the dynamic island is an interactive element. It has lots of cool animations, useful information, as well as the ability to interact with it. Now, I'm not somebody who interacts with the dynamic island much because it is the topmost part of the screen, which makes it the least reachable. But nevertheless, these features are here. The dynamic island also has sensors for Face ID. So we've got Face ID versus the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner on the S23 Ultra. Now, I know a few people are going to be saying in the comments, yes, but you can get facial unlock on the S23 Ultra. This is nowhere as secure as Face ID, and you can't use it for things like banking apps for that reason. Now, both the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner and Face ID work really well. They're both fast. I think it really comes down to personal preference. I personally prefer a fingerprint scanner because it's just more convenient. I'm somebody who uses my smartphone a lot when I'm in bed. And with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I still do find that if I am halfway into the pillow, if I just want to have a quick look at my notifications, then Face ID won't work. I'm going to have to kind of move my head out. Whereas with the fingerprint scanner, I can use it however and whenever. Now let's move on to the cameras.
SideSav here.
You came from this side. You usually come from that side.
Yeah, I thought I'd mix it up today.
Fair enough. Just to remind you guys, we're getting very close to 2 million subscribers. So if you haven't already, do consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon. I'm not going to take up too much of your time this time. Back to work. You heard the man. Don't forget to subscribe. So cameras, I've done a detailed Super SAS style camera comparison between these two. It's over 20 minutes long and it covers all of the different aspects. So if you're interested, go and check that out. But of course, you guys want to see a summary. So firstly, front-facing cameras, both have 12 megapixels. I think both take excellent selfies. But the real competition, of course, is with the rear-facing cameras. So we've got 3 rear-facing cameras on the 15 Pro Max. The S23 Ultra has 4. Both have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera which can take macro shots. I personally lean more towards the S23 Ultra for macro shots as well as ultra-wide shots. I just think they are sharper overall with better dynamic range. Then we have the primary cameras. So the S23 Ultra does have a 200 megapixel camera. The iPhone 15 Pro Max has a 48 megapixel primary camera. Now remember, megapixels are not everything, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max actually has a larger sensor size compared to the S23 Ultra. Now images from the primary cameras, very, very close, but I did prefer the iPhone 15 Pro Max for dynamic range as well as low light. The iPhone 15 Pro Max